What is going on, everybody? Bauer Browner. Welcome back to the channel, guys, and welcome to the next video in our Blender mini series, I guess you can say. Building a house, that's what we're doing. All right, so to start off, hopefully the sound quality is a little bit better today. I'm able to record at home for this one, which makes all the difference in the world. And that should be about it. You'll have to excuse down here on the left-hand side. I do have my screencast going, so you can see what I'm doing with my buttons, my mouse, that sort of thing. But I got kind of a double whammy going on where you can see I have the big white lettering and I have the green going on there also. So kind of is what it is. I'm going to have to deal with it for now. I wasn't intended to be that way. I think the white lettering is coming from my screen recording software and the green is coming from Blender itself, but it is what it is. At least you know you won't miss anything. All right, so where we left off yesterday, we got the front of the house done here, at least laid out. We got the windows and the doors, porch, and stuff like that all laid out. We got one of the side windows laid out. And somewhere along the line, I lost my house to be able to see what's going on in the back. But good news, I did find it again. It really wasn't as hard as it should have been. Very tired when I made my last video. Very tired now, but it is what it is. We'll just keep plugging along. So one of the things I'm going to do here first is I'm going to get rid of my grid lines here because, I don't know, they get in my way sometimes and I don't like having them all the time. So you can use this button here. That will turn off everything on your screen. All right, which you don't really want to do because it also turns off your lines and stuff that you need. So what I do is I turn off the grid, the floor, and then my XY axes, and I'm left with just this, right? So it's a little bit easier for me to work. Now, if you rely on some of those things, like you could turn the axes on so you can tell, you know, where you're at. If you're, you know, if you have problems like keeping track of the XY and things like that. I usually just look over the gizmo there if I get really lost and I can see, you know, which direction is which. But once you start modeling, you'll quickly figure out which is your X, which is your Y. Really not that bad. So I keep mine turned off. One of the other things I wanted to make note of is when you're using perspective plotter. All right. Do I have perspective plotter even on here? Let's see. Go into my camera. All right. There we go. There's perspective plotter. All right. Now my image isn't showing up because I did this on a different computer. So that's not going to help me too much. I may either have to put the image back in here. Let's see if I can do that really quickly. Yeah, it's going to be kind of a pain switching from computer to computer. That's one thing. If you do work on two different systems, it's going to give you a little bit of a problem with images, right? If like you can see on here where it says I can't find the image. Right now, I can't even find. Let's try. I can't find my camera. Where's my camera at? Oh, there it is. All right, so it says the image is here, but yet it's not showing up. All right, so let's just try to reopen this image here. Okay, so there's our tutorial house. All right. Okay, so at least I'm back in business. All right, so what I was saying before I got distracted with all that is when you are plotting here, right? With my green lines, you see I had a little bit of trouble in the last video trying to get things. I was trying to line up this corner right here, right? So this line here, oops, let me get back into edit mode here. So this line here, I wanted to line up with this corner and you can see that it's a little bit off. Now, a lot of that could just be the house itself. You'll notice that Google, when the street car or whatever you call that, you know, the car that takes the pictures, sometimes the picture is a little bit warped or a little bit wonky. They don't come out quite right. So it could be partly because of that. The other thing to keep in mind is I was trying to line up on this porch also. And that could be an issue. Like if this porch is made out of wood, maybe you got a little bit of dry rot, you got some settling going on. Maybe one of the corners is sagging. So try to keep your lines, like when you use these green lines and red lines, try to keep it on the house itself, on whatever it is that you're trying to build. Right. So not necessarily the porch, just the main component, the house. This way, it's you're a lot less likely, you know, to deal with settling or that type of thing, because very easily it'll throw off your model. All right. But you should have all that done. And that was just a side note, right? So you shouldn't have to worry too much about that right now. All right. So what I got now is on, let's see here. This is actually a back view from, it's hard to see, but it's the best view I can get of this house. So it looks like they got there's a door right there in the corner, perhaps a double window, one smaller single window. There may be another one, but obviously I can't tell. And that's all covered by a kind of like a patio, right? With a little bit of a covered roof there, a covered porch, I guess you could say. So we'll try to make do with that. Now, which house was I on here? Okay, I believe this was the house. Hopefully I was gonna go down the street a little bit and see if I can get. Well, I guess I can kind of. All right, so there are two windows on the other side of the house. All right, so now we got a pretty good feel for what is going on. So we got the single on the left side, we got two on this side here, so we can start laying those out. So let's hop on that now before I waste too much time here. Okay, so same deal as yesterday. Now, one thing I want to show you, or do I want to lay this out first? What I was going to show you is after we build up these windows, there is a way that I can copy the whole entire window once it's complete, and then I can just move that to the other side of the house. Now, sometimes it's a little more work than what it's worth. But now that we know what size our windows are going to be, we're just going to build these today, right? So we'll build them the same way we did yesterday. All right, so Control R to get myself a loop cut, and I'm going to give myself 4 lines there because I have 2 windows, right? And I'm just going to plop them down the way they are, and I'll S for scale along the x-axis. I'm going to pull them in there right there for now because what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to measure these windows and make sure we're at the right distance, the right length, or right width, I should say. All right, so I want to go into view, and I'm going to go down to segment, go down to show, and we're at 1.07. Let's make this so I can see it. Okay, we'll turn that green. All right, highlight that. Actually, I want to highlight all of these, and then I'm going to S for scale along the x-axis, and I'm just going to pull those in until I get 1.02. All right, so those are my 2 windows there. Now I can either keep them where they're at, or I can start sliding them left and right. Let's get rid of measurement since we don't need that anymore. Hide it. Okay, so I don't know. Do I want them there, or do I want to spread them out a little bit? I guess for the sake of simplicity, we'll keep them where they're at. All right, so I'm going to extend these lines, the edges of the windows. It's K for my knife tool. You can look down bottom and see what buttons I'm pushing when I'm pushing them there, so you can see what I'm doing. Now, what I do is when I get to the end there, instead of hitting return, I actually right click, and then I can start another one all over again, right? So I can go along the Y axis again for the X axis. And then when I'm done, I can enter and get everything set into place. All right. So those are my 2 windows there. I could get rid of those lines, which dissolving those. So I can get rid of these and these also because I don't need any of those anymore. I'll keep these here so I can line up the back of the house. As a matter of fact, let's extend those right away. We'll use K and we'll drag those out along the Y axis like so. And then again for the bottom. Okay, now we got our 2 side windows. All right, now, like I said, there was a bit of a covered porch back here. Let's start with the door. Again, we're going to Control R for a loop cut. Now you can see I'm not really getting a loop cut. I'm only getting 2 little dots down there. You can see. What I'm going to do is escape out of there. I'm going to go into vertex. I'm going to go into a vertex mode, and you can see what's throwing it off. For this to work, all right, this needs to be an uninterrupted square. That means you got 4 vertices, 1, 2, 3, 4 on each corner of the square, and nothing. You can't have that broken up at all. It has to be a perfect square with only 4 vertices, right? So just 4 sides. This vertice here, Here, let me show you my pen tool, which you can see. But this one here, especially this one here, and then these two here are throwing it off. So if I didn't have these two lines here, and I can get rid of these because what I can do is just back up a little bit, right? If I really need, if I feel like I need to use my loop tool, that's what I would do. I would just back up. So I would back up a little bit, like right there. So I have these two lines so I can extend them again. And then I'll just get rid of these two. All right. Now, these two are still going to throw me off as well as these because you can see, they will throw me off. So let's get rid of these also. Because you can see here, I'll even give you an example here. If I control R, see, it's still only giving me, it's really hard to see, but there's just a little blue dot down bottom. But if I get rid of those two lines, these two lines, now we'll go back into vertex. Now I still have one single one down here. That was probably for my foundation. All right. So we can get rid of that half of the line. Yeah. Not sure I really wanted to do that. That's fine for now. I just want to show you as an example. All right. Now when I control R, you can see I get my loop cut back. All right. Does that make any sense to you guys that this needs to be one uninterrupted square, right? No lines connecting into it, no vertices, no extra anything. All right. Now like I said, there's multiple ways to do things in Blender, right? So it's going to be up to you how you want to do it. If, I've already just used those two dots, like you can see down here, right? So I'll kind of put those dots, get myself into a vertice mode and use my knife tool and extend those up and work it that way. It's like I said, it's up to you guys, right? There's a lot of different ways to do it. For now, just to, for simplicity's sake, I'll use the loop tools, right? So we'll use these. We're going to scale along the y-axis to get that door-ish looking. All right. And then GY, we'll move that over into the corner like so. And then I'm going to deselect the lines that I want to keep. Right click D for dissolve to get rid of everything I don't want. All right. Now I can actually re-extend this line since I goofed everything up. All right. I'll re-extend that back over here like so. And then I got to fix this window here. It's not imperative that I do it. I mean, it would actually work just fine the way that it is, but just get everything back to the way that it was. All right. So now we have our door. There was a double window right next to that. So we'll do that. Loop tool again one more time. All right. And the reason this works now, right, because I put that line back in there. But the reason it works now is because I have these two cuts that I had just made, which gives me a perfect square, right? So you can see right here that's not interrupted by anything, no extra vertices, no extra lines. We're good to go, right? That's always one way to get around it. So instead of deleting all these extra lines, I could have put a really small cut right close to the corner here just to give myself, a nice clean square to work with. All right. But anyhow, so we got our door there. Let's get our window in place here. Another loop cut. See, loop cuts come in really, really handy. Nope, that was on the y-axis. So I don't have any references for this one because, obviously I can only see a little bit from the back of the house. That's all right though. So this was a double window. So let's make this one. We're going to measure this one again. So we'll go back into our tools here, view, segment, show, green. All right, 1.34. And we're going to move that out to 2.04 and just make it twice the distance. Okay, so 2.04. And that'll give me a nice double window there. Okay. And then we can get rid of our measurements because we no longer need those. Hide it. And I believe there was two. Well, maybe I will need them again. That's all right, though. There's one or two extra windows over here on the side, so I guess we can do that now. Well, loop cut again. This time I'm going to go with 4 of them. Let's get our segment in here. Show that. Put it in green for us blind guys. And then we'll select these, scale along the y-axis until we get to, what was that, 1.02? There we go. It seems so skinny. So that would be right, though. All right, now these I am going to move around a little bit. I am not going to keep those exactly where they're at. All right, so we'll start with these two, and I'll move those, somewhere over in there. And, you know what? I'm going to keep that one right where it's at. Okay, so now we can start bringing our lines back over for the top and bottoms of the windows there. So, and then we'll do that one more time. Y-axis all the way down to the end. Enter. Okay, so now we got 2 windows, 3 windows, and a door. Kind of feel like this double window should be a little bit taller. Now, the thing is, when you slide these around, I'm kind of locked in here. Now, if I wanted to make this line further down and make a little bit of a bigger window, I couldn't do that because it's connected. It's like it's going to pull down these extra vertices that are right next to it, this one and this one. So if you watch when I try to pull that down on the z-axis, see how I pull everything else with it? That doesn't quite work. So if you want this window a little bit bigger, you would just have to run that. All right, so I'd have to run a new line there. Like so. And then we can just go and get rid of the one above it. So that'll be our window a little bit bigger, kind of like we have in the front there. Except the front looks more like a bay window than it does a double window. That's okay though. This will work out just fine. I think in the end, we're going to be looking pretty good here. Okay, so the only thing I need to do, we got some railings that we have to make here. We got to get the steps set in place. Let's see, let's keep plugging along here. All right, trying to slide things around on my keyboard as I talk because I got some things in the way. Sliding things around on my desk, I mean, not my keyboard. I'm sliding my keyboard around on my desk. You're not cluttered, but it's hard when I got my microphone in front of me. All right, so we have these laid out. Let's get these last couple things thrown in here. Sometimes I'll wait, like maybe with the overhang on the porch. If I can't think of anything right away, I'll get to work on some other things and then I'll lay that in there. Because there should be a patio that covers at least from this door, maybe to the edge of the window, a little bit more maybe. So let's see if we can, how do we want to do this? Maybe select this face. Okay, that didn't work. What I tried to do is I was going to subdivide that. And then you can see I have like these extra vertices here. That might still work actually. So let's see if we can move this one. Just move that in a little bit. Because what I want to do is I'm going to use this extra segment so my patio sticks out past that door a little bit. All right, so then I can just extrude that, and I'll extrude that along the x-axis, like so. All right, so that'll be our patio. All right, and we can get rid of these lines, like so. All right, now I need a roof. How do I see it? It's hard when you cannot see exactly what you want. For now, what we'll do is we'll select this. We're going to Shift D to duplicate it, press Z for the Z axis, and we'll bring that up roughly to where we want our roof to be. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate that selection by using P to separate and S for selection. And then we'll rename that one back roof because I'm gonna end up coming back to this just once there we go. Once I get everything settled. All right, so let's hide the back roof for now so I can keep working on other things. And that should be it. So let's scoot around to the front. We need to mark out an area where our stairs are going to be. So go back into the knife tool, grab the edge of this door, pull that out along the x-axis and again along the z. Okay, like so. Press enter. Now you have options as far as how you want to do these stairs. All right, let me have a look at the way they have it. All right. So the stairs, it looks like it sticks out about like a foot or so past the edge of the door, which is basically what we have, right? So it sticks out about a foot or so past the door. Now there is a way when you select this, I think if you select the edge here and you control B to bevel it, that gives us a single bevel, right? But if we take that bevel and go into our bevel options, all right, you can go down to, let's see, can I move? Oh, I can't move that. Darn it. My mouse is in the way. Right down here where it says profile type, if you go to custom, you can have presets here and you can come down to where it says steps and you can select the number of steps you want. So you can start increasing your segments. So let's do 6. It's been a while since I did this, so that's why I'm having a apply preset. It's not working. There was something else I needed to do here. What do I need to do? Maybe it's the width. Yes, it is the width. All right, so that gives us steps, but you can see what it did there is it also gave us whatever is going on here, and we do not want that. So that is no bueno. So what we would do from there, you could either back out, and we can separate these steps, right? So you can take all 3 of these faces. Nah, the bottom's not separated. Does that really matter? We'll separate. Well, the bottom I don't even really keep anyhow. So what I usually do is that bottom is deleted. So delete face on that. All right. So we'll pick these 3 and we're going to separate those as well. And this may or may not work. Like I said, I might know a thing or two, but I'm definitely not a Blender guru by any means. All right. So make sure we're on the steps there. In the edit mode, we're going to try that again. Edge select, Control B. There we go. It did work. So just separating it was enough to get that to work. All right. So just something that feels right. You know, if the steps feel too big, you know, like too tall, you can go up here and make any adjustments to your width or the number of segments. You can add an extra step if you want. But I'm not going to do any of that. I'm going to keep everything, I think, right where it's at. Okay, so now if I get back into object mode, right, I have my stairs selected. I'm going to shift and I'm also going to select the house. And I am going to Control J. Oh, excuse me, to join those. Right, so I just made that the stairs part of the house again. And then we're going to call this one main house, I guess. Just so I know what's going on. All right, so now when we get back into edit mode here, you can see that I have a hole here, which really is not helping me. And so I can fix that by just selecting these edges here or selecting the vertices. So we'll select one, yeah, this should work. So we'll select these vertices along the stairs like so. And then we're just going to fill that like that. Okay, so now we have steps and we have a porch that does not have a gaping hole in it. Okay, good. So we're making progress. So what do we need here? It looks like our stairs are a little bit tall. I could have counted them. 1, 2, 3, 4. But wow, that's pretty darn close. So if I would have threw, let me see, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. Not bad though. I'll keep it. I'll stick with what I have. I'm happy with that. All right. Don't forget too, I'm actually not a little bit higher. My porch is a little bit higher. See how it sits up higher than this? and it's fine. Everything's level. It's going to look fine. It's just the way, you know, just the way it worked out. All right. So should we do the railing next? Maybe. Generally the railings are something that I do last, only because they're kind of a pain in the butt. It's easier to do the windows and stuff like that. But we can. Not a big deal. I'll show you how I can do a railing. Now, if you did a rain gutter at all, if I showed you guys, if you watched my rain gutter video, this is done pretty much the same way, right? No difference. Everything is pretty much the same. So I'm going to take a vertice, like right here in the corner where I want that to line up at. I'm going to Shift D, duplicate it, move it on the Z axis. I'm going to move it along the Z. Right, I don't know, right to where I feel like it should be. And then we'll move it along the Y because I don't want it exactly on the edge of that, on the edge of the porch there. I don't want to line it up exactly because it's got some width to it. I don't want it to be, you'll see. All right, so once we have that set to where we think it's going to meet the wall, we're going to extrude that along the x-axis like so. Now, what you could do to get this to line up, I want it to come out about as far as this step, right? I don't want to overshoot it. I don't want to be too short. This way, everything will line up. What you could do is you go up here into your magnet up here for your snapping and get yourself onto, you could do either edge, right, or vertex. So I'm going to use edge. And I'm going to grab this vertice again. And now I'm going to move it. I'm not going to extrude it anymore. I'm just going to move it. G to move it like so. And I'll move it along the x-axis like we have here. And I'll hit Control. And I'll hover over top of this line here, right? So see how it'll snap to each one of these. And Control is just overriding your snapping. Because right now your snapping is turned off. But if I hit Control, it'll temporarily turn it on. So I don't have to come up here and kind of click this and forget that it's on. And later on, I'm fighting with something else and things just aren't working out too well. All right, so now I can extrude that one more time. I'm going to snap it down to this bottom step. So I'm going to extrude along the x-axis. And I am going to snap it to the bottom step like so. And I'm actually going to pull it out a little bit further. So G, X, like so. Look at it from a side profile. And I'm going to G, pull it down. Okay, like so. And once I feel okay with that, we'll leave that there. Now I'm going to move this up to face project. The same vertice, I'm going to extrude it along the z-axis. Oops, that did not work out. Extrude along the z-axis, Control, and I'm going to snap it down to this step here. And I am going to do the same thing with this one here. This might be a little bit close, though. I think this is going to have me right up to the corner. I don't know. Actually, let's take this line, right-click S for subdivide. I'm going to take that middle vertice there, and I'm going to move that along the x-axis. So I'm close to the corner there, right? Because the way this is going to be, if I was to move this down, it would line up right exactly on that corner. And when I start giving this some like width to it, you know, like it's going to be like a pipe railing, like you can see. Is that a pipe railing? It's not. Theirs is more of a square flat railing, but mine's going to be a pipe railing. Like I said, you have to take some liberties sometimes and kind of mix it up, especially when you're lazy like me. If it looks like too much work, there's definitely an easier way to do it. No doubt about it. All right, so we're going to make our pipe railing here just because it's easier. And let's extrude that down to the porch. So easy, Control. All right, so that's a little bit better. All right, so this may or may not work out the way that I want to. When I start getting extra, like when I get these, I don't know what to say, like these extra support leg in here, right? So when I start adding these extra bends and pieces on it, more complicated I make it, the more room for error there is. So I'm going to select this whole railing. All right, and I'm going to separate that selection. All right, so we'll call that railing. All right. And then we're going to object mode, right click. I'm going to convert that over to, actually, I have to make sure that this is highlighted. Right click, convert to curve. Okay. And then we're going to go over here onto our curve options, and we are going to start giving this some, put some meat on its bones. I'm debating if I want to move anything before I do this. Okay, so let's go down to geometry. You tell it's been a little while since I goofed around here. We're gonna bring our depth or our resolution down to 2, or maybe 3. We'll see. Go into depth, start pulling that out a little bit till something that looks right. All right, so you can see what I got going on up here, where these two met. See how that doesn't look quite right. And even down here on the corner, it's broken. Now, why is that doing that? Let's try go to fill caps. I don't think that's going to make a difference. It's not. Like I said, I am certainly not a Blender guru, so there are still some things that trip me up and I don't know how to fix. And this might be one of them. And I may keep this just for, like I said, for the sake of, you know, moving things along here. All right, so that is not working. It could be because I need a bevel. Like down here for this vertex here, not actually, I don't think I can bevel that in curve mode. No, I cannot not bevel that. I mean, the thing with this is, once it's all said and done and you're looking at this house from a distance, you're never going to notice these little things. Now, I'm very anal about a lot of things, and I get hung up on these little things, like really, really bother me. Right. So I get really hung up on them, and I shouldn't, because, things you're never ever going to notice. Right. I'm going to make that a little bit skinnier because I don't want that big, big rail. All right. So this was just a quick, easy, or quick and dirty way to get the railing done. Now you could, by all means, you can make squares and extrude your squares out kind of the same way that I did this. Like I said, I'm not going to be too picky about this. I might leave it just how it is. I mean, I kind of really don't like this here. Now there are also ways that I can fill that, and we can do that once we get into edit mode. We can get back into edit mode. We'll convert this back to a mesh, which is what I'm going to do right now, because I think we're good with that. So I'm going to take this railing, select that, shift, and I'm going to select the house, and I'm going to control J to join those. Oh, actually, you know what? I didn't convert it back to a mesh. Duh. Ay, ay, ay. This is how it goes for me some days. All right. So convert back to a mesh like so. Now we can shift, we can select the house and join those back together. All right. I mean, you don't have to join it if you don't want to. You can keep that separate for now. Okay, get us back into an edit mode. Going to what I could try is either take these two and we'll merge them at the center, like so. Take these two, select them, and we'll merge those at the center. And we'll pick these two and we'll merge those at the center. And hey, what do you think about that? Problem solved, right? Looks good to me. I'm not going to be that picky. All right, now with this mess up here, what can I do about that? Because there is no separate. Well, I guess there is. Hmm. Bear with me for a second while I have my thinking cap on. I'm not quite sure what I want to do about that. I mean, I could always back it up and I can merge them this way. I don't know if that's gonna work out the way I want it to. All right, so that merges them, but then that does not look good there. What we could do is take these top vertices. Actually, let me get out of there. Put this in vertex snapping. And then we're going to G along the Z axis and we're going to snap it to that. Still looks a little bit. Let me go down just a hair more. So I'm going to do this manually. Hey, you know what? I can live with that. I think that might be a-okay. I wonder if I go into edge select, if I can actually get rid of these extra edges or if that's going to blow me apart. No, it won't let me get rid of them. That's fine, no. I can live with it. It looks better. All right, so I guess that's one way to do it. Now, if you're not happy about, I'm out of this mode. While you were in curve mode, right? While this railing was still a curve, you could have grabbed this section here and you could have slid that in a little bit if it looked like it was a little bit too far out for your taste. And you could have done something about that. But now that I'm back into edit mode where it's a mesh again, I'm kind of stuck with that. All right, now, like some of the little details I'm going to come back for, because what I would normally do is I'm going to grab like the outer edge of this pipe here, right? And I'm going to start making a flange where it looks like it was bolted to the wall. And what I'll do is I'll press E and then S for scale, and I'll pull that out to where I feel like it needs to be, like where it would look good, like so. And then I'll extrude that along the x-axis, like yay. And then I'm just going to F to fill it. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to I'm using Alt, and I'm going to grab that inner ring. And I'm going to go to face project up here. And I'm going to G to grab it. I'm going to move that along the x-axis, and I'm going to snap it to the outside. So I just kind of moved it so it's not sitting at the bottom of that. You know what I mean? Like it's sunk into there. And then what I do sometimes is like I go into face select, because there's back faces on this now. You can see them right here. Right? And those faces aren't visible anywhere. So those are things that I would delete these. Like I said, probably not that big of a deal, but, and those are there because I pulled that in the way I did, right? That's why that showed up. But from the outside, looks pretty good. So now I keep that in mind for when I make the rest of them. Now, normally what I would do is I would do them all at once because I would take note of how far I extruded that, right? So when I extruded it out, maybe I went like 0.2, whatever. And then I would do the same thing for the rest of these. So they all look uniform, right? So they all, one doesn't look big and the other one looks much more round. And you know what I mean? You don't want them all looking different. You want them all to be the same. All right. So I usually do them all together so I can take note, but I just threw that one up there as an example because I like to show off. And, but that was pretty easy way to do it, right? So, I think people overcomplicate things on Blender. Much more than what they really need to, because they're fairly simple if you just give them a chance, right? Just keep working away at things, keep plugging away, and things will definitely fall into place. All right. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to give my roof a little bit of life. So I'm going to select this here, and I'm going to select my other panel. One thing I want to do quickly before I get into that, I'm going to hit Alternate X on my keyboard. Now, for me, it's Alt X. If you guys didn't map anything, what you would do is you go up to Options. Wait, it's not under Options. It's under these View options up here to show overlays. And if you see right down here under Geometry where it says Face Orientation, right, see how I can click that and it shows blue? That's showing me if I have any of my faces flipped, right? So if one of these were flipped, it would show up red, and that's not good. Like if you watch my video on culling, it would be invisible, right? Because you can only display one side of the face, and it's, for specific reasons. You don't have a need to select the other side, right? Or to show the other side. But anyhow, it would be invisible, right? So anything that shows up red would not render. It would just be invisible inside of your scene. So what I do, because I have to check often, is hover over top of this face orientation right here, and then right click, and you could actually go down to either add a shortcut, change shortcut. You could add it to your quick favorites if you want, or you could just add a shortcut. Now, I added a shortcut because Alt X is just really easy for me to, as I'm working. And you'll notice as you get better and better at this, you're going to start, flipping out of, different modes really quick. And one of the shortcuts I use there when I get into wireframe is, Shift Z gets me in and out of there. Another way you can do it is just to press Z, and you can pick what you want out of this list, right? So you can go into material preview. You can go into rendered, wireframe. All right. But I just use Shift C. It gets me back and forth because those are two modes that I use fairly often. All right. So we're good. We don't have anything in the red. Everything looks pretty good. Hold on. I need to fix my microphone. It's going to be noisy or not. All right. Face select. Let's pick the two faces for our roof. Now with this, you don't want to extrude. Most people, I think, would just hit E and they would pull it up and they'd be like, there we go. There's my roof. Nah, not really. So let's get out of there. I don't want to do it that way. There's a different way that we're going to do this. And the thing to keep in mind is once you have this textured, right, you only want one side to the roof. So let's get rid of this bottom here. We'll delete this face so I can show you the roof. So when I select the roof, it's red on the other side, right? Everything is red on the bottom. Now, depending on how you do it, you can have two sides to this, right? So when you extrude it upwards, now you're creating two faces. You're basically splitting that face, right? So if I extrude it up like so, now this didn't do it. This actually just pulled it up, but sometimes it leaves two faces. Sometimes you have another blue face in here. So you basically have two sides to your roof. And once you start texturing, especially if you're doing something in like Substance Painter or something like that, you don't want to have two sides to it because you're just taking up a lot of valuable real estate in your UV map, and you don't want to do that. All right, and I'll show you when we get there. This happened to work out okay, so we're not going to worry about it. Anyhow, let's get into this roof. So let's select both of those faces. Now, instead of just E for extruding and pulling it up, you want to right click, and what you want to do is extrude along the faces, right? So for me, it's F, right? So I usually right click and F, but now on my other computer, it's right click A. So there must be something, maybe it's an add-on or something like that that are changing my, changing the shortcuts in my context menus. But anyhow, for me, it's right click F, but to figure out which one, man, I can't talk today. If you want to figure out which ones you should be using, go into the right click menu and look for extrude faces along normals. All right. So then it's as easy as right click F. And then I pull that up. I'm going to hit shift so I don't go too fast. I'm not going to pull it up really, really far, right? As thick as you feel like you need a roof to be. Okay. Now, what I did there is when you are extruding, you're pulling this roof straight up like so on each side. All right. And then the same thing, it happens, with the edges over here, the edges of your roof, they come straight up. All right. With extruding along normals or along faces, or extruding your faces along normals. Jesus mighty. Your normal is actually facing in this direction, right? So it's more on an angle. So you're pulling out your faces in an angle instead of straight up. And this is something it's gonna help us in a little bit, having it done this way. Sorry, I'm banging into my microphone. All right. So for one, when we look on the other side, everything is still red, right? So we're good. We didn't create an extra face down there. Now what I want to do is I want to start with this overhang. So I'm going to select all of my edges here, right? All the edges of my roof. Actually, what you need to do is you need to come back and get rid of all these lines first. All these extra lines that came up with the extrusion. Oops. You want to get rid of those because they will goof you up a little bit. It'll make your overhangs look not good. And you can do it after the fact too if you want. It's not a big deal. So if you ever do this and you extrude the edges of your roof and they look like not straight, they look weird, like different angles, a little lopsided, everything's a little goofy, that will definitely create a problem. And another thing that I probably should have mentioned much, much earlier is as you're doing all of these things, right? If you're having any sort of problems, get rid of those. Go into object mode, go up to item up here, right? Make sure you have your house selected and check your scale. If you scaled anything, if you resized anything at any point and not reset your scale, things like bevel and certain other functions are not going to work well for you. You're going to have some problems. So your scale does need to be 1, 1, and 1. Now it doesn't matter if your model is not complete, whatever. Just if go over to Control A, right, to apply your scale. And I can't count the number of times that this has burned to me where what the hell is the matter with this thing? And I'm yelling at it and throwing stuff at it and cursing and fighting with it just to realize my scale was not at 1, right? It has to be 1, 1, and 1. If your scale is something other than that, it's not a guarantee it's going to cause problems, but it's pretty good likelihood that it's going to cause problems. All right. So if you're having issues, if you're trying to follow along with this video and you're like, screw you, Bauer, it doesn't work. That's probably why. Check your scale. I should have mentioned that in the beginning of the video, and I probably could have saved you, I don't know, a couple hours of grief, but sorry about that. Is what it is. Live and learn. Had you watched my other videos, you would know that. Yeah. See? All right. Anyhow, back to the house. Yeah. You know what? This recorder that I'm using does not have a timer on it, so I don't know where I'm at. Time-wise, I'm at 48 minutes already. Jeez, oh whiz. All right, we're going to have to wrap this up shortly. What else did I wanted to get in here? Okay, let's just finish up the roof. All right, so we extruded faces along normals, right? And that made our roof extrude in the direction that we wanted it to. So let's go back and pick our edges, the edges of the roof, like so, like so. Pick this edge, and this last one. All right, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to extrude along normals. So for me, it's right-click F. All right, and I'm going to pull that out just so it looks good, right? It doesn't have to be. If you want to, you can go into your image mode here and you can pull it out. Look at that. See how good I am? Just eyeballing it. I pulled it out right to where it is on the picture. Man, it hurts being, this good. I can't even say it with a straight face. All right. But anyhow, that's how I do my roof. Now you can see something doesn't look quite right over here. What is going on? Something is a bit wonky in this corner right here. And I am not seeing what it is. Let's see. Let's go into, it's this line right here. See, now watch, see how that looks all goofy and not right. If I take that line right there and dissolve it, there you go. You can see things look better. Now things are still not looking good here. And that's because I have all the rest of those lines. And that's exactly what I was just telling you. If you pull out your edges and they don't look good, If things are looking like really blech, all over the place, it's 100% because of these extra edges that you have in here. I mean, you could see how bad that roof looks. It just does that edge does not look good at all. All right. But once you select all of those, right click, dissolve them, you have a very nice, perfect straight edge. Everything looks wonderful and hunky dory and any other adjective you might have for that. All right. And then we can do the same thing here and select. Hey, where's the rest of them? Oh, there they are. Select the rest of these on this side, like so. Okay. Didn't miss any, right? Nope. All right. So see how nicely that went. Now that's why I use the extruded faces along normals, because you can pull all four edges of your roof out at the same exact time. Now, the reason that was important is when you pulled up these top two faces here, right? These two big ones, you did those along normals, is because it left your edges, like this edge here and this edge here, it left that on an angle, right? So now the difference would be, right, if you were to pull up if you were to pull this roof straight up, right, instead of on an angle, you're just to extrude straight up, your edges out here would shoot straight out, right? So when you went around and extrude along normals again, or to pull your faces out, your roof wouldn't come down on a slope this way anymore. It would probably your roof would look more like this, and that doesn't look good. Who wants that? So extrude along normals, and get your roof to come up on an angle, which looks really nice. Not only that, but I think if you were to extrude straight up, eventually you run into issues where you come into with a split. It extrudes it as two separate faces. Like here, you can see that we actually, oops, not what I want. Darn it. I don't know how to work this damn thing. Here, when he pulled out all four corners, it gave us a nice edge here. See how we got this nice tapered edge where everything came together? Regular extrusion doesn't always give you anything so nice like that. It will give you two separate sides. Anyhow, just trust me. Extrude along normals. Don't do anything different. All right. So if you want to now, what we could do is I come along and I get rid of some of these lines on the top of the roof, because I do not need those anymore. So I'll get rid of those. And that just helps with, one, keeping the poly count low, and two, it helps with texturing. So now these are going to be two different textures. I have like a roof underside right here. Okay. And it's not visible underneath. It's only on the outside of the roof. That's just my overhang. Right. And this helps in your UV space, right? On your UV map. Now you only have this tiny little bit that you have to take up, you need UV room for, as compared to needing all of this space for the underside of the room, underside of the roof. All this space you want to use just one time for the top side. No need, to have it duplicated for bottom. All right. So that is the roof. Easy peasy. All right. We're getting there. We're starting to look like something, a little bit of a house look to it, huh? All right. So if you've been following along and you made it this far, give yourself a pat on the back. Just don't hurt yourself. Next video, we'll start laying in windows, right? We'll do the garage door. We'll put the windows, do all the trim work. That goes fairly quick. So that should not be a problem. We can tackle that in not long. Now, normally I'd be much further along than this, but having to flap my gums and explain everything as I go is slowing me down a little bit. So it's definitely all your fault. But anyhow, so what do you think? Getting easier, making a little bit more sense? Let me know, right? Works out. I think it does. And I think that's going to be it. Like I said, we'll pick this up on the next video. I'll show you guys, how to get a few more things done here. Look forward to, like I said, doors and windows. We'll start trimming those out. I'll show you how I make the window, inset it, stuff like that. Outside of that, all we really have to do is build this porch roof back here that needs to get done. And we got to give this porch some kind of railing. You can see in the normal image of what we got going on here. I may not have it look 100% exactly like this railing, because they got all kinds of, this is a little bit much. Simplify things and just make it a square, right? Nobody's going to notice when you drive by. And if they do, up yours, I guess, right? Right. It's the way I look at it. You can build your railing any way you want. Anyhow, it all depends. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Maybe we will. One, it's extra geometry that you don't really need, right? So if you try to duplicate this design, it's just you don't need all that extra geometry, especially for a deco object where somebody's going to drive by. They're going to look at it for like the whole 3 seconds it takes them to drive by, and you're like, oh, nice. And that's going to be the end of it. No more than that. All right. So squares work perfectly fine. But if you want to do a little bit more, not a problem. Just don't go crazy that, you're shooting your geometry on your house, like up into the like hundreds of thousands of vertices for one simple little house. Right. So you can see for this house right now, we're only at 229 vertices. That is not bad. That doesn't seem right either. So something is definitely not right. Is that right? Yeah, I guess it is. All right. So that's not bad. Not bad at all. Now, I mean, we have more to add to it. So it's going to be a lot higher than that by the time we're done, but that's fine. So, like I said, you guys have any questions, make sure you shoot them down into the comments and I will respond if I can, which I will. I don't think I've missed responding to a single comment yet. Like I said, practice, practice, practice. If you are not subscribed, please do. It helps me out and it'll definitely help you out. So you'll know when I have new videos, which sometimes is every day and sometimes every couple months. It all depends on what kind of day I'm having. Anyhow, I'm going to leave it right there. With that being said, I'm Bauer Brown. See you on the next one.